Republicans on Capitol Hill plan to go after the president's son when they take control of the House of Representatives. Illinois state lawmakers face some tough budget decisions if they want to pursue the governor's priorities. And the people who regulate medical marijuana in Iowa want some tax breaks. We'll cover that ground this morning with Scott County Republican Party Chair Janita McNulty and Scott County Democratic Party Chair Matt Trimble. Nice to see you both. Let's get right to it. I'm going to start with medical marijuana. The Iowa Capitol Dispatch reports this week the state's medical cannabidiol board will try to convince state lawmakers to drop the sales tax for medical marijuana products. And board members don't want prescriptions for these products to be administered by the telehealth process. They want lawmakers to require in-person visits for them. They've seen that happen, I guess, apparently. What do you think about these changes? Any reason to think this would move Iowa closer to legalizing recreational marijuana? Janita, let's start with you.
I don't think it'll move it closer to legalizing recreational. They probably should take a look at it. Other medical prescriptions are exempt, and if the medical marijuana meets the definition, perhaps it should be as well. And I'm sure the legislature will take a look at what the board presents to them, and we elect them to legislate, and I'm sure that they will make the decision that they feel is the best for Iowa.
What do you think about the telehealth requirement, not allowing these prescriptions to be administered by telehealth, but have in-person visits?
There are some concerns, and I read what the board said, and I think that they're justified with some of their concerns, and it's possible the legislature will not go that route yet.
Matt, what do you think about these changes?
Well, I think people need access to treatment, affordable treatment for a variety of diseases and conditions. I think anything that moves that forward makes it more accessible. It is reasonable. I think I know the Iowa Democratic Party is supportive of legalization of marijuana and treating it more like alcohol. That is a reasonable thing, and I think our law enforcement community would look at that, and might be supportive of it, as would our medical community.
You okay?
People access to more access to treatment and support.
You okay with dropping the sales tax for these products?
If we're going to treat it like a pharmaceutical and control it like that, then we shouldn't tax it. There's other ways to get taxes. Maintain our tax base so we can fund public schools, community health, and other things.
Let's get to our next topic. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker wants to build up the state's rainy day fund. He wants to get it up to $2.3 billion by adding more than $1 billion to what's already there. Columnist Rich Miller took a close look at this in the Chicago Sun-Times. He reports Illinois' recent budget success came heavily from one-time revenue sources, things like the increase in the state's income tax refund fund, and can't be relied on repeatedly. Miller adds Democrats have ambitious spending for long-term programs that could force lawmakers to raise revenue through higher tax cuts or to cut spending for some other programs. What do you think Illinois' chances are of getting this balance right, considering it's passed? I know both of you are Iowa people, but Matt, I'm going to start with you this time.
Well, I think you look at a budget and it sets its priorities for a community or leadership and where they value things. I think if Pritzker continues to deliver like he has been for the people of Illinois, that's another example of the priorities. Make sure that things are secured going forward, because the economy might change. But I think continue to fund education, social safety net, infrastructure and jobs, and all of that will help boost revenues so the state can have that rainy day fund without increasing taxes. So contrast that with Iowa. We're sitting on a giant nest egg that we refuse to help people who really need it. Elderly, poor folks in our community. So I applaud Pritzker in his attempt to secure Illinois' future. If only we can get there in Iowa, which we will at some point.
Well, the surplus's recent history in Illinois, Janita, do you think that the Democrats can continue to maintain this sort of road that they're on?
Well, I think Illinois could learn a lot from Iowa. Iowa has done an excellent job. And it does appear that the governor of Illinois has a fiscally responsible plan for his one-time use of these resources. They do need to increase their rainy day fund. They have the smallest fund in the nation, so that's good. They need to do that. They need to pay off some of their debt. That's good. and they do need to increase their pension funding. That would be very good for the people of Illinois. So I would hope that the Illinois legislature would work with the governor and work on his plan and come up to help the people of Illinois. They desperately need some help in Illinois.
Any reason for either of you to be skeptical that it's based on Illinois' history? The surplus in Illinois is a recent trend, Matt.
Well, the surplus exists because of Pritzker and his policies and the hard work of Democrats in Illinois. And under Rauner's administration, all of that was an afterthought. There's no consideration for the future. It's fiscal austerity at all costs, and so we're seeing a rebuilding of that. So I think it's reasonable, to expect Pritzker to be able to meet that goal.
Let's get to one last topic before we go. Republicans on Capitol Hill, poised to take control of the House of Representatives, are making plans to go after the president through his son. Donald Trump loyalists like Representative Jim Jordan and potential Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy indicate they want to launch congressional investigations into the business dealings of Hunter Biden that they say also implicate the president. These Republicans certainly haven't liked the House Select Committee's investigation into the attack on the Capitol and former President Trump's activity related to that. What do you think about this tactic? How much is this a political gamble by Republicans? Janita.
Absolutely not. This investigation is long overdue. The FBI had this laptop before the 2020 election and sat on it intentionally. The media didn't do any investigative reporting. So now it's known now that it wasn't Russia, as they said. There were some shady overseas business deals going on, and the American people have the right to know if Biden, who was vice president at the time, was involved with these shady deals with his son Hunter and with his brother. There's a slew of possible crimes, and if there were crimes committed, those people need to be charged. So it's long overdue.
Matt, your take on this whole thing?
Since we're talking about law and order, I do agree that if the continued investigation is warranted, the Biden family, it has a long history of service and is reputable in many ways, and I would take the findings with a grain of salt, given the history of Jim Jordan and Kevin McCarthy and how they're pandering to the far right MAGA group that put them in power. You can look at the laptop, work through it. The American people need to know so we can settle it, and then move on to really take care of the needs of people in the Midwest who are dealing with rural poverty, defunding education, public schools are at risk. So many other things need the focus of our congressional leaders, and let's get through the investigation quickly and move on to real issues.
We'll get ready to see those changes in January. Janita McNulty, Matt Trimble, thank you both for your time. Both of you be safe. That takes us to our question of the week. What do you think of the Republican plan to investigate Hunter Biden's business dealings when they take control of the House of Representatives? Send your answer by email to fortherecord at WHBF.com or respond to this post on Facebook at the local 4 News WHBF TV page or on my page.